Hey everybody, Tom Barnas, stories from the 78. I got a doozy for you just because true crime is everywhere these days. I mean, you go on Netflix, there's 100 different things you can watch, or even on HBO, you got all these true crime documentaries, dramas, what have you. A prosecutor here in Chicago, his name is Gregg Owen, wrote a book. Here's the fancy book cover right here. It's called Convergence, and started his own publishing company, and that's what this is, 26th Street Publishing, which I believe 26th Street Books. Yeah, that is the address of 26th and Cal at the Cook County Courthouse in Chicago. Wrote a book about a double murder that happened a few years back, 45th anniversary in fact, so 1980, of Mark Demetrius and Marjorie Jobs. That is the book title. That is all the information about it. I am talking to Gregg now for this story from the 78. Gregg, how are you?
I'm good. I'm real good. How are you, Tom?
You know what? I'm enjoying the little bit of summer that we have left, sadly, but yeah, I'm doing great. And before you got on here, I was just talking to the audience about the fact that true crime has become such a popular topic for one reason or another. And you have been in that field for many years. You wrote this new book, Convergence, which is on your new publishing
Yep.
venture, right? 26th
Yep.
Street Books, which
26.
is after the courthouse, right?
Yep. Yes, it is. Where I spent 10 years.
Yeah, I
In
imagine you
front,
saw.
not in back. I spent my time in front of it, not in the back of the courthouse.
Right, right. I imagine you saw some interesting things in your time doing that.
Oh, I saw a myriad of things. I mean, uh, mostly sort of tragic, but there was a lot of uplifting moments too. I mean, it was both. So it was quite an experience. It's sort of an island out there. There's not much really around it to do. So that's it.
And I was reading a little bit about you. It said that you were you in a band and then you jumped
Yeah.
into this, or you jumped into the law, and now you're a publisher and all that stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm one of those people that grew up, saw the Beatles when they were young, and I knew how to play piano, so we started a band. And shortly thereafter, we had a lot of success. I was in a band called The American Breed.
Oh yeah,
I got it right after the
bend
song
me,
"Bend Me."
shape me any way you want to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And before that, I was in a band when I was 16, 17. I did it for 10 years straight, called the Shady Days. We happened to open up for the Doors one time in May of 1968, Chicago Coliseum, and Jim Morrison started a riot. So we were like, oh my God, is this what rock and roll's like?
Oh,
And
I didn't
then,
know that.
oh, yeah, May 10th, 1968, it was big headlines. I mean, he literally got the audience. There were an upper level on the Coliseum and a lower level, and they had chairs and they weren't bolted down. He got the audience so riled up, the people on the upper deck were throwing chairs down on the first floor and onto the stage. I mean, it was, and he doesn't yell. He goes, "Okay, I want everybody to really think about your neighborhood and take care." Like a speech. And then he started throwing chairs. So, and then I was in a band called Jericho that was around for about 5 years. It became very, very well known in a lot of areas: L.A., Chicago, Florida. A bunch of different parts of the country. And it was that time that I was in law school, all through being in a band.
So you were having this success in a band while going to law school.
Yeah,
You were disciplined and said to not blow off law school and be like, I'm just going to keep doing this band thing. I don't need to go to class.
yeah, yeah. And I got the dean of students the first day. I convinced him that, I'm in a band. Of course, I had hair down to here, and he goes, it was pretty obvious.
Uh-huh.
1970. I said, I'd like to do something really unique. I'd like to go to school from January to May, and then take off the next semester. So I did that. It took 5 years, and I would tour from June to January, and then when we were home, we played clubs around the area within the three states. But I go to law school.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Minnesota, but ended up coming to Chicago area, like out in Schaumburg, Roselle, before it was
Hmm.
any town. And then I ended up living in the city quite a few times on and off. Moved to LA for about 3, 4 years because of the business. But for the most part, the Chicago suburbs and then in the city.
So you had all these, I mean, opening up for the Doors is kind of, a lot of bands would, people to be good, you know what I mean? And or
Yeah,
in traveling around and being in several bands that have songs on the radio.
yeah,
But you were
yeah,
like, no, this law thing, I think, is where it's at, which is almost kind of the opposite of a story that you typically
yeah,
hear.
yeah. And it's because when I got finished in college, I didn't have to be worried about drafted. So my leader of my band, one of the guys in my band said, you should go take some law classes. We get taken advantage of so much by managers. And I
Yeah.
said, well, are you crazy? And then I thought about it. So I said, oh, I'll take some classes. So I took this law school admission test. For some reason, I did well. And then I went to law school, and they worked it out. So, I mean, I got the knowledge. And then right toward the end of school, there were things happening with me personally in my life, the woman and the drugs. Some people were getting overwhelming. And I just thought, I got to change. Something's got to give here. And there was a little bulletin board in my law school that said, Cook County State's Attorney's Office will be at the school in room like 204 to interview for possible interns to become prosecutors. I didn't even know what a prosecutor did. I didn't even know what the job. And so, I mean, this is the truth. And I'm not into any of this existential stuff so much, but something inside me said, you better do that. You better do that because something's going to happen to you. And I'm like, who's talking to me? It was my whole life, nothing like this ever happened. I literally changed overnight. I called my mother. I said, hey, Mom, would you call your friend that does your hair and ask him to cut my hair tonight? My mother thought I was crazy. And so I did. She got me a suit and tie and stuff from J.C. Penney. I went to that interview the next day, and the guy said, oh, it's your lucky day. We've got a new Supreme Court rule that says law students can try cases even before they graduate. So a guy named Bill Kunkel was my first boss. He tried John Casey, and he assigned me to a courtroom. I spent 6 months there before I got out, tried about 300 cases, and then passed the bar exam.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, my band went on to make a record deal with Mercury Records and all that stuff. I mean, they kept going. After I left, I found my replacement. But one of the interesting aspects, just in case I don't forget, of this book is my second day of the bar exam. It's only 2 days. It's March 3rd, 1976.
Hmm.
The victim's father, one of the victim's father, finds his son and the girlfriend in her apartment on March 3rd, 1976, at the very moment I was taking the bar exam. 4 years later, I'm prosecuting the case. That's pretty.
Wow. That is some weird kismet, fate, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean,
Yeah, that was the point. And there was this book is full of this. So anyway,
yeah. Well, if you would, for folks that don't know, I mean, we're on the 45th anniversary of this double murder that
yep,
happened in Chicago, right?
yes,
So
yeah,
for
and
just if you wouldn't mind, yeah, just explain a little bit of it.
okay. Well, what happened was um, this young man and young woman, 24 and 22, were at her apartment. It was at 2970 North Shelburne Road,
Hmm.
first floor, right near the lake.
Yeah,
And
close
there
to
was
Wrigley
some,
Field.
yeah, there was some drugs involved. There was some small time dealing of cocaine, and the one victim invited a friend over to check out some new cocaine he had. And while he was there, he stabbed them both to death. And there was a witness who escaped. I mean, literally, and the defendant was wealthy. I mean, really wealthy.
Hmm.
And to this day, we can't figure out why he did it. No idea. I mean,
Really?
yeah, he wasn't insane. There has to be some motive, but the police, us, all these years, nobody could figure out why would he do this? Kill two of his friends, butcher them. Like,
Not like a
yeah,
lover scorn thing
no,
or secretly
well,
gay or something crazy.
no. Well, like I said, somebody asked me, I said, well, first of all, when you kill somebody with a knife, it's usually a crime of passion or stealth.
Right.
Stealth with the military. But most of the time, it's a crime of passion because you're that personal. I mean, it's a very personal, guns the distance, but, and so we were trying to find anything, nothing. We could never establish why he did it, which
So
is,
would you say that's the biggest mystery of
no,
this story for
no,
you that you just never knew why?
no, I never do why. And, there's a jury instruction that the judge gives to the jury. It says the state is not required to prove a motive. I mean, but juries still want to know why did this happen
Yeah.
because it sounds more outrageous. I mean, the way it went down. I mean, the story of the eyewitness when he's there and this is all happening and he escapes. It's hard to believe. I mean, At first, when I first found the case 4 years later, I had a problem believing it. I'm
Well,
thinking
how did
maybe
he
that.
escape? Like for those who just not without giving everything away. I mean, it's a 45-year-old case, but like, what would make you look back on it and go, "That's just unbelievable."
Yeah, well, what happened was he was there to talk to the male victim about some drug money they had
Yeah.
used for drugs. And the male victim calls the defendant, shows up, and the male victim, Gio, had an automatic laying on a coffee table. And when Gio and the defendant went into the bathroom to do their transaction, the eyewitness heard a loud noise, like fighting or something. And he goes and pushes the door in, and he sees Gio on the floor with blood spurting out of his neck
Hmm.
and a butcher knife in the guy's hand. He can see it through the mirror. He picks up the automatic and says, come out, I'm going to shoot through the door." The guy goes, "You're not going to shoot anybody. I'm a narc. I'm a narcotics officer. I've just given the signal. My three partners will be here in a minute." So the guy got scared, left the girl in the apartment yelling, and took off with the gun.
Oh, left
Yeah.
the girl.
Yes. Yeah. But pretty much another hero, I would say. But I mean, he became a hero because he did testify, but he didn't want to. He was taking the fifth forever. He would not testify. He was
So what made
afraid
him
he would.
finally do it?
Yeah, because see, he was afraid that he'd get charged with the drug part of the case. But that was not our intent. I mean, we were never going to charge him with the drugs. But I mean, it started out. I mean, it was 2 grams first of all, cocaine. Seems like a insignificant amount to kill two people.
Yeah,
I mean, and
unless
there
there was
was
some
no
history.
motivation. There's something more behind it. And I tried to ask one of his defense attorneys years later. Nope, nobody will say a word. Usually the lawyers know pretty much why it happened. But two of them passed. Well, yeah, two of them passed away. And the other one, he's like 86, and I don't think he knows what I mean.
Or he's waiting to write his own book, huh?
Yeah, but I tried. I really tried to find out, and all these years. So that's the crime that's involved. And like I say, the convergence is as that crime is taking place, I'm taking the bar exam. I'm not even a lawyer. I know nothing about this thing. And then when I come home from the exam, I see a big headline, Daily News. Used to be a nighttime paper, and it
Hmm.
had a big headline, "Contractor actor slain." And I saw it. I thought, that's amazing. What is that about? I didn't have any money, so I went in the house. About an hour later, my brother calls. He goes, "My friend got murdered." I go,
Who was
"What
your?
friend?" The guy was my brother's friend. How about that? I had never met
Wow.
him in my life because I was always in the band on tour. So he had friends, and I didn't. And he had been close friends, and that was bizarre too. And 3.5 years later, he calls me. I'm already 2016. I'm doing murder cases. He says, "You remember that murder case of my friends?" I go, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I do." He said, "Well, they said they're going to throw the case out." I said, "Who's going to throw the case out?" He says, "The state's attorney's office." I go, "Come, we don't throw out double murder cases. They're going to do it."
Yeah.
I said, "Where's the case?" He goes, "It's not where you are." And I find out it's at the Daily Center. Murder cases I've tried at the Daily Center, but it was there. And it was in front of a judge who was known to sell favors. You know what I mean? Like not going to cast any windows. And the lawyers were friends of the judge. So just as a favor to my brother, I went and looked at the case. And it was just horrific. I mean, the pictures, money, I mean, and you know what it did? It upset me. I said, as many of the people I prosecute here, they're desperate, they have no opportunity, a lot of times they don't have real good lawyers. But here's a guy that had everything in the world going, privilege, I mean, wealth, success, and he does this and he thinks he's going to get away with it. It just made me like, no way. We're going to do our best to see that he does, and that these victims have a voice. That was the motivation for me.
It almost sounds like he had friends in high places with the,
Oh, he
having
definitely
things
did.
moved and maybe who knows, like maybe excuse me, maybe he maybe it wasn't a crime of passion, or perhaps maybe a crime that was ordered, a hit,
Yeah,
back then. The mob was the mob back then, and who
yeah. His
knows? I mean,
lawyers were not lawyers for sure, and he was on bond for 4 years.
wow.
I mean, you don't get a bond on a double murder. He did. And the judge that gave him a bond 10 years later would be convicted in Operation Graveyard, sentenced to 12 years in prison. So we're talking some corruption. big time,
Oh
major.
gosh.
Yeah,
You should write a
never.
book about it.
I think I
I'm
did.
sure.
I think
I'm
I'll do
sure
that.
as
Based on, I'm going to do that.
yeah, I'm sure many
I think
people
it's a
told you
great
and you're
idea.
like, yeah, good idea. So when you're doing the steps involved in trying the case and working it, I imagine you ran into things that you were just mentioning the photos and whatnot, and then you
Yeah.
see the other layers that are the corruption, even within your world of judges and whatnot. Like, how do you
Yeah.
navigate that without getting yourself into trouble?
Well, there is temptation all around it. It was so corrupt, the system. I started out in the courtroom. That judge got 10 years, another got judge. I mean, every place I worked, those judges eventually ended up prison years in. And so, you were aware of it, but what could we do about it? And we knew it, and there was times, but since I was assigned to 26 in California right away, those are jury trials. So it's a little more difficult to be corrupt in a jury trial setting. So, but still, I mean, it was, in the book, we talk about a character, a real person named Terry Hake. Well, Terry Hake, when he first got so upset about the corruption, he worked for my partner and a supervisor. And my partner calls me and says, "You got to come over here." He says, I said, "What?" He said, "Don't worry about it. Just get here." So I did. And there's Terry Hake, young guy, crying on his couch in his office, my partner Mike. And Terry goes,
Wow.
"I can't do it anymore. I can't stand it. I'm going to lose my mind, blah, blah, blah." So we call our boss. I said, "You better talk to this guy." Well, come later on, we realized he became an undercover mole for the FBI. And his interactions resulted in the largest judicial investigation and conviction in the history of America. Operation
Holy
Great. He was the main character in that big
Operation
scheme.
what?
Grey Lord.
Oh, great.
That's what it was called. I mean, in the U.S. history, there were like 15, 16 judges went to prison, clerks, lawyers, you name it.
And a lot of that had to trickle down here or out of Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chicago was, at that time, it, wa- I worked in front of a judge in a misdemeanor court. His name is John Devine. We called him Dollars,
Oh
because
boy.
every case we knew was fixed. I mean, we could win it for life. These are misdemeanors, shoplifting, theft. But still, we lost every case, almost every.
And how do you even like when you're in this, like who is a person or an organization that you can go to try to fix it? Like, and that's what I meant about getting yourself in trouble, almost like,
Yep,
you're standing up against people who are corrupt. I'm sure they have goons who try to influence decisions to people who
yep,
are trying to stand up to them. I
yep.
imagine that can get a little terrifying.
And at times it was. I mean, on one occasion I was young, real young, and I tried this case and we lost. We always lost with these misdemeanor courts. And a clerk walks up to me with $100 bill. And I'm standing in the men's room, and he looks at me and goes, "Greg, so and so wants to thank you for, you know, your efforts on that case." I go, "What are you talking about? What? Thank me for what? I lost the case."
Yeah.
I know, but and I look at it and I go, "Don't go." And I told him, "Take that away." He dropped it on the ground. I mean, that was my first. And after that, it never happened to me again. I mean, I've never, except the night before this jury trial, for the closing arguments, I was bought
Really?
$50,000 to do a crummy closing argument. That's in the book.
Wow.
Guy
That's
showed up with a
incredible.
duffel bag, opened it up, had $100 bills, wrappers, and said, "This is yours. All you have to do is tone down and close it." That's a crime, but I was more insulted. You think I might take it? That would bother me. Are you
Sure.
crazy? Yeah, no, we were tempted.
But in those moments when you get that offer, not about the offer, but how serious this is clearly, and how many people want it to go a certain way, were you just scared at any point just to drive home that night? Like are you like driving home looking in your rearview mirror, making sure people aren't following you? Like, did it get to
Yeah,
that level for you?
yeah. Just a little bit after this case, I became the head of gang prosecutions, and first time in the history of Cook County, and I had quite a few hits put on me. I mean, legitimate ones, where they actually intercepted the note, how much money. I mean, and so I was living with the police. I had just gotten married. My wife and my son were living out in California and had police protection for months. It got real ugly. It
My
got a little crazy.
gosh.
Yeah, it wasn't a
So,
dull moment.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I feel like I'm shocked that, I mean, I imagine just getting this book down on paper, if you will, took a lot of thought in how you wanted to tell the story and getting people to give you some information to,
Yep.
just make the book something that you were really proud of. I imagine, I mean, the case is 45 years old, so it took you a little while. You've done other things. You've
Yes.
started other things in your life.
Businesses.
I imagine,
Yep.
was this always just kind of a thing that you were writing in the background all these years, or did you sit down
Well,
one day
my
and be like, I'm going to write it?
well, my partner, whose name is Mike Geigen, he passed away 3 years ago. He's one of my closest friends. He and I were a prosecution trial team, and we had never been defeated. And we were well known for being such a successful. We were young too, and we had said, we've got to write some books because what you see on TV and the movies, the real thing is better. The truth is better than what they try to make it out to be. It's more exciting, more dramatic, the real thing. And I thought, I went through all these raising my children, and then when I finally got to the point where I could settle back and not have to focus on other things, that's when it started. About 3 years ago.
So when's the movie coming out?
It's funny because I know somebody in that area, and they said, Greg, this is tailor made for a Netflix series. That's the
Yeah.
way it rolls, the rock and roll guy, the prosecutor, the convergences, things all coming together. The coincidences are, I mean, if you read it, it's almost hard to believe. And I said to my co-author, I said, Jonathan, we have to have documentation of every single thing we say. So we do, because some of it's hard to believe.
I imagine when it was happening, you're like, you can't make this up. Like, you couldn't make this up. It's so
No,
crazy.
no, no, no. We had no link. We had no link between the bad guy and the victims. None. Zero. Except that witness we'd never seen him before. And just before the trial, I found a piece of paper in the file and the name of a pilot. He worked for Midway. So we went down and saw that boss, and he went through some records and he said, yeah, he flew victims and the defendant is needed the day before these murders, so they should be. But he said, he's not going to be this good. He said, why is that? He said, because he crashed a plane in Tennessee with 8 tons of pot. It started out falling. And they got him in custody. He was Afro American, so it's even worse in Tennessee in 1979.
Sure. Yeah.
So me and my partner flew down to see him, and we met him, and he remembered the whole thing. I ended up speaking to the governor of Tennessee, and we worked the thing out with the governor, so he could come and testify, and they cut his, he was going to look at the life. They cut it down to like 2 years. And that's all true. I got pictures of the plane that crashed, his name, article. I mean, that helped us solve the case because now we could link them together. And the victim was going to buy drugs, and this guy was with him, the bad guy. No
All
one
these
else.
things. Yeah. All these
Yeah,
things have to come together for this to
yeah,
make sense to present to a jury for
yeah,
them to
yeah.
find them.
Because you
It's
got
all,
one
it's,
witness, you know, it could have been him, right? I mean, that would be my approach from the pencil, and that's what they tried to do. Make it out that our witness was really the killer.
huh.
Jury was only out 2 hours, guilty. So we did a good job of convincing
So you started the 26th books, right?
them. Yep,
26th Street books. So do you have
absolutely.
more coming down the pipe here
Yep,
or yeah?
yep.
All
We're
right. So this
halfway
is the
through the
one of
second
a
book.
few that you have, huh?
There's going to be 5 altogether, based on from this point to when I left the office, all from the prosecution point of view. And then we're also going to start trying to draw in new authors who write true crime stories, or if
Hmm.
somebody's got a great fiction crime that I can find believable because it's going to be, I know it's. And we're going to introduce ourselves after the book's out for a while and start promoting. We even want to do a contest for new authors to publish, and focusing. Hopefully, we get more authors that write about something that happened at 26 in California.
Yeah, I mean that is if you grow up anywhere near the city of Chicago, everybody knows when somebody says 26 in Cal, everybody knows what that means, good
Yes,
or
they
bad,
do.
right?
Yeah, they do absolutely. In fact, we used to just say 26th Street. Where do you work? I work at 26th Street. The lawyers always know. Oh,
Yeah, and I remember I had friends who are, Cook County sheriffs
Yeah.
and state police and even Chicago police and whatnot, and you would hear stories just about the courthouse, but the jail itself
Oh,
too, and how they're like, you want to know where hell on earth is? It's
yes.
there. Like
Cook
that
County
place
Jail.
is it.
Absolutely. No, it's horrendous. It's scary. It's scary. I
Yeah,
spent 10 years there. You know.
yeah. I imagine. Well, and enough to at least put out 5 books. I imagine there's other stories that you want to tell. You just
Oh,
don't have enough
absolutely.
to, or you just are
Yep.
like, well, we'll start with this. But
Yeah. No, that's the point. Get the concept, and it's one of the reasons is because we're telling it from the prosecution side. We're taking people behind the closed doors so they know what we do it, why we move the way we do, why we hold our hands certain way. And it's not an accident. It's a choreography. If,
interesting.
if you're
Well,
good at it.
you know what? I can't wait to dive a little bit further into this book and
Do it.
just looking at your what you have here. I mean, just this story you're talking about. I look forward to the day where I am on Netflix and I scroll across and I
Yeah.
see this story right here in Chicago. Where can people buy the book? Is there a website that they can check out if you're doing any
Yeah.
book signings or anything like that?
Well, the book is going to be released September 17th. It'll be on Amazon, you name it, every major location. It'll be available for pre-order in 2 weeks. There'll be an audio book. That's going to be interesting because I give my own closing argument in the audio.
Oh, do
I
you
give my own
really?
argument. Yeah, I do it just like I did then.
Very
And
cool.
those things will be available in 2 weeks. About a month before the release. So it'll be fun.
And do you have a website for the book or just send
Yes,
people to,
yes, we do. 26streetbooks.com.
oh, easy enough.
26streetbooks.com. Yep.
And you said something that's interesting. I never really thought of it, but I imagine, do you save all your closing arguments, that you've done over the years, or you save the ones that you won, or do you just save the ones
No,
that you remember?
no. What we do, I just order the transcript. If I decide I want to do a book about this, I just go get the transcript.
Oh
And read
yeah,
it.
everything's there.
Yeah, because they're all these cases are written up, dictate.
So when you went back and read the transcript of your closing argument, were you like, "Oh yeah, that was pretty good," or were you like,
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. I thought, man, I was pretty smart when I was young. Because I was 30, and I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I was happy because, whatever it wasn't, I got to narrate it. But it was good. I mean, it is good. I don't know if I could
"Wow,
do it today, but it was good then.
Greg, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I
You
appreciate
too.
you taking
Really,
time to chat with me and just share a little bit about your story. I mean, it is fascinating, and the book, I imagine, just as fascinating."
yes, it is. And I really enjoy your stuff that you do, the neighborhoods. I mean, I've learned a lot of stuff by watching some of the things you do.